Will you join me in prayer, please? Let's just take a moment to breathe through that heart space. Breathing in life, opening our minds to the divine within. Grateful to know in this sacred space we can be sure, we can be at peace, knowing that we are supported by this presence in every way. Take a moment to see if there's any way that you're questioning in life right now. And imagine that this presence is here to supply that. Without fear, without upset, without question, let's say our invocation together. There's only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Thank you. You may be seated. And you may be seated. Surprise. You may have heard me say in the last few weeks, or remind you of a time on our 15th anniversary that we were looking ahead to the next 15. How many of you watched that? It was online at the time. It was actually a fundraiser called The Next 15. Do you remember that? And we had some people here in the room. We had entertainment come. And because we were celebrating our 15th anniversary and we were looking forward into the next 15 years together, I thought it'd be fun to have an astrologer come in and do a horoscope for Unity in Naperville for the next 15 years. It was really fun. And some of the things that she shared with us included something special that was going to be happening within our community during 2025 and 2026. Hey, we're there. What might it be? Well, what she said was the world was going to need us, Unity in Naperville, more than ever during this period. And that this was an opportunity for us to expand and build on how we presented Unity's message. She talked about us being unique. When we were born in 2007, so to speak, we came in, she said we came in with a mystical energy in our DNA as Unity. And she said that we have a soul contract to delve into spirituality in ways that are new. So think of us as avant-garde. Think of us as, presenting opportunities, new one-off opportunities that you haven't seen before, doing Sunday services in new and different ways. And that we would just continue to grow and expand and become over the years ahead. But she also talked about how important our message would be to the world. And that this was a time, in these 2 years especially, where we were going to emphasize Unity's positive message and also find ways to communicate that in such a way that people can go through whatever's happening in these next 2 years with a positive outlook on life. And that we have the opportunity with our message to become it first in ourselves, and by becoming it, contribute to the collective consciousness. Are you up for that? Okay. Well, when you take a look at Unity's mission statement, you will see how we intend to fulfill that purpose. Let's look up here on the screen and remind ourselves of it. Together? We are a vibrant, inclusive community for personal growing and joyful knowing of our oneness with Spirit and each other. So if you can take a look at that, you can see that really the main focus for Unity in Naperville is about spiritual growth. And in the growth process, we know more and more how we are one with each other and with Spirit. So I'm just going to ask if you can see, first of all, how that might raise the collective consciousness. if we're doing that, if we are seeking to not only work on our own personal spiritual growth, but we're reaching out to each other and feeling a sense of oneness here, can you see how that might help the collective consciousness? Which is basically just take everybody's mind and what they're most commonly thinking about and put it in a pot, and I mean everybody around the world, put it in a pot, and then distill it down into kind of a single frequency or energy based on what most of us are thinking, and then it goes out into the world and affects people. So we can't really avoid it, especially when most of us are thinking a certain way. We all get to jump in there at some point. I'm going to ask you, though, have you had the opportunity yet, since you walked through the doors of Unity in Naperville, have you had an experience of your own consciousness being raised? And I'm going to ask Carlos and Jill to walk around with microphones, and let me just hear from you. How has your consciousness raised since you've started tapping into the message of Unity in Naperville? Raise your hand, we'll bring you a mic. Doesn't have to be a long story, but who wants to tell us? How has your thoughts, your way of living risen? Rick, thank you.
In part of the message that I'd never heard before because I didn't come from a Unity background, and it was, we often think that we're human beings who are having a spiritual experience once in a while, but in reality we're spiritual beings who are having a human physical experience. And I chewed on that for about 5 years, and it kept getting better and better.
Wonderful.
Because it was just an explanation that was better than what I had in my toolbox before.
Okay, good. Thanks for playing. Who else can remember a moment when you had an aha here, or just you're looking at life differently than you used to? Judd.
So only a couple weeks ago, even though I've been going to this for 20 or 30 years, you said like it's already there. You just have to tap into it, your consciousness.
I think we were talking about prayer, and yeah, okay, go ahead.
That was cool.
That was cool. Yeah, so if you missed that one, there's a recording of it. It was part of our 5 basic principles, so it would have been the 4th week we talked about that. So just when you think you're having to ask God to give you something, it's more about praying to remind yourself it's already been given. And we have to remind ourselves to open up and receive that. Who else?
For me, mine was the importance of community. There was a recent Sunday that you said that God cannot do to you what God can only do to you what he can do through you.
Yeah.
And so that really clicked in me that community is so important, because when you ask for something, you'll be led to the people who can help you.
Oh,
and
cool.
so I'm like, oh, I love that.
Wonderful. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Yes, no, yes, no. Okay, good. We're going to go on. Thank you for joining in with us on that. So we asked you this week to take a survey online. How many of you remembered to do that? Anybody? Anybody? Okay, good. I'm putting Susan on the spot here, but hopefully we have a slide that will show us. We asked about when you look at the collective consciousness of the world, how do you think it would benefit how we might help raise it in some way? And we gave you a list of opportunities that might help raise collective consciousness, and you were supposed to vote for your top 3 favorites. So let's take a look. We did this right up until the service started today. So, wow, surprise, surprise. Love, improving our ability to give love is number 1. Number 2 is understanding, and number 3 was acceptance. You guys, what a great job. Peace was pretty close there, too. Like, oh my gosh, it was a tie with understanding. Do you see that? Yeah. So love, understanding, acceptance, and peace were the top priorities. You know what? Holy cow. Look at abundance. So I'm going to guess that abundance is not your means to bringing up the collective consciousness. Think about that. Wow, I'm actually kind of proud of you. Yeah, and a little surprise. So that's awesome. So love, understanding, acceptance, and peace. When I ask you later for what they were, you'll have to tell me, okay? Love, understanding, acceptance, and peace. So let me just look again, make sure I'm going to be right about what I say next. Yeah, actually, in order, it would be love and then acceptance, then understanding and peace. Okay, I'm going to take a chance at this because I have a belief right now that getting to those results of love, acceptance, understanding, and peace is actually can be done by something that you already have the key to do. How many of you were here in 2007 when we started Unity? Anybody here besides me? Kevin, Kim Char, Cindy, maybe that's about it. Okay, that's funny. Way back when we first started Unity, we put together values for our spiritual community that would guide us in our decision making and how we treated one another. And one of those values we chose is actually a key to achieving those qualities that you just chose yourself. And the value is open-mindedness. Remember, we've talked about how that's one of our values. It's on our website if you want to read more about all the values. Open-mindedness. If we can be more open-minded, we have a straight shot to getting to love and getting to understanding and acceptance and peace. It's critical that we fulfill that value in order to achieve a higher collective consciousness, because open-mindedness will get us to those divine ideas that you voted on in a way that your consciousness raises. Can you see that? Open your mind, your consciousness will raise. And then you become an effector, a cause, I guess, to the rest of the consciousness that will feel that and will start to accept that. I know that it's not always easy to make changes. And if we put up open-mindedness on the wall over there and we make that a thing this year, you may already look at it going, "Rrr. I'm not sure I'm up for that." And I'm going to remind you of something that Mary Beth, I know so many Mary Beths, Mary Ann, I meant to say. Mary Ann Williams. Anybody read her books? Mary Ann Williams? Williamson? Williamson. Wow, I haven't said her name in a long time. Okay, she was giving a talk, and she said, "Your best thinking got you here." So, how's it going? Do you want to hang with that best thinking, or do we want to take it up a notch? Because even though, especially in churches, I got to say, when I was in seminary, a bunch of would-be ministers coming together. We've all been in church for many, many years. We all had ideas about how to do church. And so there was this kind of tug of war going on about, I know best, I know best. Oh, no, that doesn't work. I've tried that. Have you done that here? Been in a team of some kind, tried to do a joint event, and we're just like, oh, we don't do it that way here. And that's probably one of the quickest ways to shut down your higher self. You know, God can only do for us what God can do through us. Well, guess what? When we shut down our open minds and say, that won't work, we've tried it already, we're also shutting down the opportunity for Spirit to guide us into something greater. So I hope you can start to see how our open-minded value is so important to us. Another time, early on when we were born, that was 2007, probably within the next year, I was doing a message series on prayer. And I was talking about different types of prayer and the benefits of prayer. And I chose one Sunday morning to play a recording of the Muslim call to prayer. Ever heard it? I don't speak the language, so I can't imitate it for you. But I wanted people to take in the fact that we could, if we wanted to, set some kind of alarm or reminder to pray, turn toward God more than once a day. And if you were in a Muslim country, you would hear that throughout the day. You would hear it coming broadcast over the airways. I mean, you just walk outside, you could hear it. Reminding ourselves it's time to turn to God. And sadly, I have to say that even though 2001 was 6 years behind us at the time, there were people in our congregation who either wrote to me or spoke to me later criticizing the fact that I had done that. Because for them to hear the call to prayer was a reminder and an interpretation of what happened on 9/11. And what I was trying to point out was just a form of prayer that reminds you to turn to God every day. It was interpreted instead through a closed mind, that sound means panic, death, attack, terrorism. So it's not always easy to get past it. And hey, by the way, before I did that message, we'd already established open-mindedness as a value. So I'm just showing you how quickly we can forget our commitments and let our ego take over, our fear take over, our need for control to take over, and totally miss the opportunity to raise the collective consciousness. All that really does when we hear the call to prayer and we go into judgment or fear is, again, shut the door on Spirit's opportunity to raise us higher. So I'm going to first of all remind you of what you chose. We all got together and we wrote up these different definitions. Open-mindedness up here on the screen, let's say that together. Open-mindedness is a willingness to entertain new ideas and consider a broader vision. And then we described the rationale, which basically says why. Why did we choose open-mindedness as one of our values? So let's read that together. Open-mindedness supports our spiritual growth toward an experience of wholeness. It allows us to explore and consider new ideas. It enables the Christ within to express more fully. I'm going to ask the band to come back up. And while they're coming up, I'm going to ask you some questions. So we're going to need our microphones passed around again. What do you think the benefit of being open-minded might be? And you can answer this in relationship to your own personal life, or how would you benefit as a congregation here at Unity, or how it might contribute to the collective consciousness. Raise your hand. So right beside you, Jill. Okay. Oh, you've got the mic. Go ahead.
I do. For me, it is impossible for spirit to move through a closed mind. Open-mindedness allows the spirit to really flow and touch others.
Great, thank you. Who else has a benefit over here?
I had an experience when I was sitting on an airplane with my wife, where the lady next to me was reading the Quran. And it was not far removed, like you said, from 9/11. So I had a lot of fear in me for most of the flight until I started talking to her and realizing what a nice person she was. So in effect, she removed that fear from me.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay, we need a mic over here. Candace, here comes.
It allows me to love people and then allows those people to feel loved. So when I think about my transgender loved one, right, if people go into a place of judging that and fearing that, it closes off their ability to love her, and then she becomes afraid.
Yes.
So just being open-minded about it allows love to flow.
Yes. Well, and look, that got us to one of our divine ideas, right?
I think of open-mindedness as more fun, like more possibilities, because you only know what you've experienced, but when someone's telling you something new that you've never experienced or heard of before, like, wow, like what of a possibility that could be.
Yes, that really does open the door. Okay, Mary Beth, and then we'll go on.
Yeah, I can't evolve if I can't stay open-minded.
Can't evolve
And
if I can't stay
you know,
open-minded.
one of the things I've heard is be curious, not dismayed. And curiosity is a whole different vibration than being dismayed and closed off.
Don't you just love that word, curiosity? Curiosity. Okay, thanks, you guys. I think when I think of being open-minded, I think we're creating a place of safety for anyone who's different. And by the way, we're all different. So if we can be part of a community that is open-minded, then we're safe there. We can be ourselves. We can just let down our hair. It also means that anyone can participate in an open-minded community, that you're listening to all voices. makes your community accessible. When someone comes in who's never been here before, it becomes accessible so that people can experience in their own way. And if they have questions, they can ask them. And they might have ideas that we can be more open and receptive to. We also, as everyone's been saying, revelation only comes through that open mind. That's when we can hear that still small voice. It's what opens the door to reach those divine ideas that we voted on. So let's take a listen to the band and their song called Clarity, and let's see if that doesn't just open us up a little bit more.
Blue skies or storms, what do I see? Spirit in me, give clarity. Sickness or health, what will it be? Spirit in me, give clarity. Light the darkness, and hold not despair. Abundance, not a lack. I see what's true when I see it's you. Diamonds or dust, what do I see? Spirit in me, give clarity. Famine or feast, what will it be? Spirit in me, give clarity. Light the darkness, hold not despair. Abundance, not lack. I see what's true when I see it's you. Light not darkness, hope not despair. Abundance, not lack. I see what's true when I see it's you. Let's sing that again. Light not darkness, hope not despair. Abundance, not lack. I see what's true when I see as you. Spirit in me, give clarity. Spirit in me, give clarity.
Been around for a while? Ooh, we need to sing that more. We'll get a chance to sing that more this year. Thanks, you guys. You can be seated. So, as we were defining open-mindedness for us, we also came up with an implication, which means what does this environment have to look like in order to make sure that we are practicing open-mindedness? So let's read this together up on the screen. Actually, how does it start? Okay, we'll just start with unity. Unity challenges our beliefs through a variety of ideas and teaching methods that support our spiritual growth. It offers alternative perspectives as we consider spiritual principles on our path of divine potential. And I just want you to notice that that is something that you are all going to have an opportunity to make happen this year, which we'll talk a little bit more about. But right now, I want you to think about how we will practice raising the collective consciousness this year with that as our focus. When we are practicing open-mindedness, we're talking about a simple respect of others. What does that mean to you? Just take that in. That means just because the words coming out of their mouth are different than yours doesn't make them bad or wrong. And they deserve respect for their opinions. As long as humans are on the planet, we will be different, and we'll be given that opportunity to respect one another. Another thing is that, have you ever heard, let's just agree to disagree? I actually would say get used to that. Make peace with that idea, that I agree to disagree, we agree to disagree. Be comfortable with that idea, because that is really critical if we are going to live with open minds. We're not always going to agree. Did you have a comment in the back? Carlos, can you take the mic back? Thank you. Marley.
I have a question with agree to disagree, because right now, when I feel someone's being cruel to somebody, there's cruelty, and I see a lot of it now. I don't know how to agree to disagree.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know
I'm hoping that you guys are going to know the difference between just having a general conversation about things and ways to do things, and that's definitely fraught with opinions, versus a crime being committed. Yeah. So we're not talking about letting crimes be committed or someone being abused in some way. So when that happens, do what the law says, if nothing else, but just stepping in and making sure people are not being injured. But this is more an intellectual attempt to find peace between you and someone who thinks differently. Does that make sense? Does that help? Okay, good. Good. Keep it up. Yeah, different story. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and, as we were talking about ways to practice open-mindedness, another thing I'm going to ask you to get comfortable with is uncomfortable ideas. Can you live in the world and be okay or comfortable with uncomfortable ideas? This is work that each one of us have to do, is to recognize, okay, well, that's a little bit outside my comfort zone, but that doesn't mean that they can't live that way. Again, not breaking any laws. So let's just make that an assumption throughout the rest of today. Listen and consider new possibilities. That's part of being open-minded and how we practice it. Be willing to listen to new possibilities. Challenge your own status quo and your own beliefs. Maybe it's time to make a change. And the most important way to become open-minded is to be still and know. Be still, listening for that still small voice, so that the divine can speak into your awareness and you may know from a higher perspective. One last thing that we defined about open-mindedness was how each one of us would commit to behave in this congregation and hopefully outside the doors. You commit to behaving with an open mind in this way. Let's read this together. I'm flexible when presented with new or uncomfortable ideas. I listen and consider the possibilities in different perspectives. I respect the opinions of others. So there's our behavior when we're choosing that as a value, to be open-minded. Okay, I want us to set an intention in 2025 to help raise the collective consciousness and cultivate open-mindedness for us throughout this year. And lead us back to, what were the top 4 choices that we came up with? Love, understanding, acceptance, peace. Yes. So in order to get there, there's some things that you're going to have an opportunity to do. And any one of you in this room or who walks through these doors has the opportunity to contribute in this way. It's mostly about cultivating open-mindedness. And one of the things that we're creating is what we're going to call the Thrive Hive. Since we're thriving in 2025, this Thrive Hive will be a chance for you to just put your name on a list which says sometime in the next year, I will help offer an idea about how to be open-minded, or I will inspire in some way how we can feel more open-minded. And I'll give you a few examples, but first I'm going to ask the band to come up and be ready to sing. And I'm going to ask you for, well, let me share my examples first, and then maybe you'll have some more thoughts about how we can do this. Ways that we can help encourage open-mindedness. And it starts with that new banner on the wall, which when I came in this morning was on the floor. So I'm not going to take that as a resistance energy. I'm simply going to take it as a challenge to continue our open-minded way of looking at things. So the banner is up and will be up for quite some time as a place for you to put something up there, to post it, maybe an affirmation that you wrote or you came across that reminds you of open-mindedness. It might be a photograph, something that you printed off the internet. It might be a quotation of someone's that helps you to be more open-minded. Anything that banner can hold that looks like being open-minded, that's up to you to contribute. Put your name on the list to be part of the Thrive Hive, and then I'll be in touch with you on how and when to do that, okay? That, hopefully, we'll have that list, right? Okay, we'll do that out in the cafe. Okay, secondly, think about an experience you've had where you became open-minded or someone showed open-mindedness to you or someone else around you, and you want to come and share that story right up here on the stage with me, and we'll schedule you on a Sunday to do that so that we can hear what's going on in the world out there. Somebody who likes to do creative writing, you might want to write a story about being open-minded. We can post it on our website for everybody to read. You're online, right? So see if you run across some kind of media clips that inspire you toward more open-mindedness and point it out. We'll show you how to point it out so that we can show it here or put it on our website or put it on our Facebook page. Tell real-life stories of other people about open-mindedness. There's going to be all kinds of ways. And Kim Char, I'm thinking a Shore Road experience would be a great opportunity to make that the focus. And then whatever talents and skills they come up with, the focus would be on open-mindedness. So let's talk about doing that. Has anybody else got ideas about how we could come in here and share with each other in the Sunday service, up on the wall, on our e-news, on our website, on our Facebook page? Give me another idea of how we can demonstrate open-mindedness. Anybody? In the community. Ooh, yeah. Put your name on the Thrive Hive list, okay, you guys? What else? Okay, well, you're going to have time to be thinking about it. Cindy, shout it out. On Facebook. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, well, we'll talk more about this later today in the cafe. But for now, I want you to hear this song from Highest Good that is helping to solidify what we're talking about.
sweet doves of peace. We are loved.